Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of ACC Student News, the news students can use. I'm Ryan Rose.
And I'm Michelle Campa. Here are this week's stories.
The FDA has put a ban on both perchlorophyll and polychlorophyll substances found in food packaging. Packaging used in places such as fast food restaurants, frozen pizza, and microwavable popcorn contain these PFAs. PFAs put a higher risk of obesity, diabetes, lower birth weights, and other such risks. 12 states have started to ban these PFAs in their packaging. Even with these bans, the FDA estimates it will take about 18 months to get all PFAs out of stock that are still in use.
An Illinois judge recently ruled former President Donald J. Trump as ineligible to be on the ballot for this 2024 state primary election in Illinois. The former president is now in the process of appealing the ruling, citing the 14th Amendment. This is the third state which the former president has been taken off the ballot. 32 other states have challenged Trump's effort to be put in on the ballot for this election, with most of these challenges being dismissed.
There has been a water shortage for Mexico City's 21 million residents. As of March 1st, the city has been going through a severe weather crisis with very small amounts of rainfall, making the living situation for the people in the city difficult. The issue is causing people in the city to recycle water so none is wasted. Local officials have been bringing in water tanker trucks to supply water for residents in the area, but because of the population infrastructure of the city, there isn't enough.
Indiana has passed a bill that prohibits trans youth from receiving gender-affirming care. This law prohibits Hoosier under the age of 18 from receiving any transgender health care, including puberty blockers and transitional surgeries. This law also prohibits doctors from speaking with out-of-state doctors about getting patient care. There was initially an injunction set by the ACLU of Indiana, which was placed to block any bills that would ban gender-affirming care for youth. This injunction was lifted and the bill went into the effect immediately. The ACLU has come forward and confirmed that they not stop fighting for the trans right.
Nearly 113,000 people in England that have long-lasting COVID symptoms were tested cognitively early this week, resulting in very low scores. People who are no longer have symptoms of COVID even tested lower than a person who did not have COVID. Doctors noted that people had been coming to them about being sick, relying on self-reported symptoms, and this led to experts doing research and finding signals of cognitive impairment.
Sony is set to terminate 900 jobs this year, including the closure of their London-based PlayStation division. This news comes after a brutal year in the video game industry, with video game companies having to cut over 6,500 employees as a result of poor sales. Experts claim that this is a repercussion of video game sales plummeting now that COVID is over. Sony has already started to notify employees of termination in the United States.
Stay tuned during this short break for more news.
Hello, my name is Charles, and I'm a 25-year-old currently going through rehabilitation. I have stage 4 lung cancer because I could never put down the cigarettes. I never really cared who was going to take care of me. But now, I don't know who's going to take care of him.
So today we do have a test, and I hope you guys are prepared. You have a week to study, and, well, get out your pencils. I'll take that.
No, no, please, no.
You should have thought about that before you did that.
Okay.
So, you would like to work at our establishment, right?
Yes, indeed.
Well, I see one problem here. See, your resume, it's not really your information. It's based on someone else's. It's like you copied it, almost. And with that being said, now get out of my office!
Welcome back to ACC Student News. I'm Austin.
And I'm Noemi. Here are this week's stories. Go.
More than 100 Palestinians were killed while trying to receive food and aid. Israel forces gunned down over 100 Palestinians that were waiting in line in relief for food and aid truck. Many of those killed were crushed under trucks and that were trying to escape gunfire. 5 months into the Israel war against Hamas, 30,000 people have been killed, including women, children, and hundreds of thousands starving as the territory in the brink of famine. The U.S. is in a hurry to salvage the ceasefire negotiations after this incident.
Catastrophic wildfires ripping across the Texas Panhandle have killed 2 people and threatened to destroy homes, as the biggest inferno in state history engulfs more land every minute. The inferno is one of 3 fires burning in the Texas Panhandle with no end in sight. It is already scorching about 2,000 square miles, roughly the same amount of land as the entire state of Delaware.
Alabama has been wanting to enforce a law of embryos and IVF. Frozen embryos are now going to be considered legal children, and people can be held liable for their destruction. Many couples are now worried about what can be considered neglect and abuse for an embryo, and if the government can take them away. There are over 1 million frozen eggs and embryos across the United States. Around 2% of babies born in the U.S. are born through IVF. Patients can choose to freeze embryos instead of planting them right away. They do so for genetic testing or for cancer patients who risk losing their fertility during treatment.
A teacher was found dead in Gary, Indiana. 47-year-old teacher named Craig Jones was found dead at Gary Lighthouse Charter School after he called on Thursday night to let his family members know he was going to be working late. Jones called a family member to pick him up, but when Jones didn't appear outside the school, they left. The early maintenance found Jones on the 2nd floor and was pronounced dead on arrival.
As summer nears, the CDC warns about a tetanus shot shortage. The CDC has recommended doctors to save tetanus shots and to help save as many as possible. In order to save, the CDC also recommends to switch to the TDAP vaccine instead of the tetanus shot. The shortage may come shortly after June, as Grifols, who is the main producer of the vaccine, says that they only have enough vaccines through June.
The most powerful Pacific storm of the season started barreling into the Sierra Nevada, packing multiple feet of snow and creating dangerous winds, the snow being at 10 feet and the winds being at 145 miles per hour. On the bright side, California water officials said the storm should provide a much-needed water supply.
An Oklahoma teen who identified as non-binary who died following an altercation in a high school bathroom that took place last month. The Owasso Police Department told The Cut that this incident is being taken very seriously and is being investigated thoroughly by police. Later, that they didn't die from head injuries, and a final autopsy would be released at a later date.
For the first time in 50 years, an American lander has set down on the moon. It is also the first craft to reach the South Polar region, where shadow craters preserve ice that can provide drinking water, oxygen, and rocket fuel for future astronauts. Though it was a big achievement, it was not all positive. The craft's leg broke, limiting the data that could be sent back.
That is all for this week's news. I'm Austin.
And I'm Noemi. Make sure to check out the rest of our videos at ACC TV YouTube.